Hello, this is Amelia Hogan, and you are listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast.
Show number 706, an interview with Amelia Hogan. Welcome to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, helping you celebrate Celtic culture through music. I am Mark Gunn. I'm a Celtic musician and host also of Folk Songs and Stories. This podcast is for fans of Celtic music, though that one has quite a bit of Celtic music in it as well. We are here to build a diverse Celtic community and help the incredible artists who so generously share their music with you. If you hear music you love, please email the artists, let them know you heard them on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. Musicians depend on your generosity to release new music. So if you find something you love, please find a way to support these artists. You can buy a CD, album pen, shirt, digital download, join their community on Patreon. You can also just, send them a few bucks, or if you see them live, hand them a 20. You can find a link to all the artists in the show notes along with show times when you visit our website at CelticMusicPodcast.com. Email follow at bestcelticmusic.net to learn how to subscribe and get a free music-only episode. And happy Easter! I hope you're having a wonderful Easter holiday this year. And in the meantime, I want to remind you that you can celebrate Easter with a Celtic Spring Challenge. Walk, listen, and give back. Throughout April, you can embrace the spirit of spring with the Celtic Spring Challenge, a way to enjoy music, stay active, and help the planet. Here's the challenge. Number 1, listen to Celtic music. Fill your walks with the energy of jigs, reels, and ballads. Let the rhythm guide your steps. You can pick your favorite band or listen to this podcast. Number 2, walk for 30 minutes. Get outside, breathe in the fresh air, and move your body every day for a month or longer. Number 3, pick up 3 pieces of trash. Make your surroundings a little cleaner while you're at it. Every small action adds up. Join and share your experience using hashtag Celtic Spring Challenge. Let's celebrate spring with great music, healthy habits, and a cleaner world. Remember, April 22nd is Earth Day and April 25th is Arbor Day. We kicked off the show with the Friel sisters. That was sporting Nell, the Black Mare of Fanad, and Lough Castle from their album Northern Sky. Next up is Flook. They have a new EP called Sanju. This is Where There Is Light, The May Waterway, and 90 Years Young.
twilight of the morning, as I roved out upon the dew, with my morning cloak around me, intending all of my flocks to view. I spied a lovely fair one, and I own she was a beauty bright, and I took her for Diana, the evening star that rules the night. I've been so much surprised by her, it be in the forenoon of the day, to see this beautiful creature coming o'er the banks of sweet Lough. Her snow-white breast lay naked, and her cheeks were a rosy red, and my heart was captivated by the two dark eyes rolling in her head. Fair maiden, I cried, your love I crave, for beauty is Lord of all. I'll wrap you in my morning cloak and take you back home with me to Easter snow. You go and tell your parents, and indeed, sir, I'll do the same. And if both our parents give consent, neither you nor I will bear the blame.
Sprig of Shillelagh, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a lovely tea then.
Will we put that one on?
Yeah, yeah. able to get it there.
After Flook came Fialla with Easter Snow from A Rare Thing, then Robert Zielinski with Sprig of Shillelagh from The Day Dawn, and we finished the set with Dog in the Distance by On the Lash. It's from their album Fireside. All right, I'm excited to share an interview I did with Amelia Hogan, and let's get on with it. Today, I am so happy to bring to you Amelia Hogan. She is a Celtic singer out in San Francisco, and she's been creating some absolutely gorgeous music, wonderful vocals, and I'm really excited to chat with you. How are you doing, Amelia?
I'm doing all right, weathering the winter and navigating through, I think.
Excellent. And, you know, the funny thing, you've been popping on my radar for past a few years now, but I haven't actually dug in deeply. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started with Celtic music, particularly, singing in the show-no style and whatnot?
I was a very small child brought to folk music events by my mom. My father's family is Irish, but they were not musical. Big, beautiful speaking voices, but no singing. And I heard some sort of mishmash of lullabies and things as a little one, as a baby. But my mother bringing me to folk music events, I hang out with the traditional singers. My mom was a writer living in Nashville, and she would bring the little kids to hang out with the other children of folk musicians and artists in Faith Petrick's living room, and I would sit at the feet as a babe in arms of these master traditional singers, including Sean-Nós singers. And so my ear got used to learning song by hearing the elders.
Are you musically trained? Can you read sheet music and such?
I am so bad at reading sheet music.
You're not alone. I'm just curious. I feel like a lot of people who are in the traditional style end up not being able to read sheet music.
I think there's a reason for that, though. It's because the tradition is oral. Like, that's a cultural expression of it being a shared and communal art rather than performance-based expressly. That's shifted over the years, I think, now, but it's not universally the way that it's passed down from generation to generation. And that's why you have songs that are hundreds and thousands of years old. Well, stories anyway, that are very, very, very old, is because it's learned from one person to the next, as though the music were alive.
Yeah. Now, how did you also play, Welsh harp as well as other instruments, ballroom, and, how'd you get into the Welsh harp?
I had a friend when I was 16, 17, who was playing his harp on the Pacific Garden Mall in Santa Cruz, where it's my hometown. I grew up. And
nice.
Yeah, he lent me one, and then found that when I had bought one off of eBay, I'd bought a badly bashed in one, and he spent a lot of time, many hours, many hundreds of hours repairing it. And he gave me his in exchange. He was like, you can have this one instead. And I've been being very gentle about playing it in public. I'm still pretty shy about that, but I still love it. So 22-string levered Celtic harp.
Now, you have a lot of gigs lined up. Do you play the harp or any other instruments at the shows, or do you usually perform with other musicians?
If I can devote my attention to singing exclusively, I do. And bring in, of course, people who that's their voice, that's their instrument. I would say my primary instrument is my voice.
Yeah.
So in a pinch, I will, but I like to work with wonderful people.
All right. Well, why don't we get started and let's hear some music and hear your voice so that our listeners get to know you.
Great. Let's start out with Home by Bearna, which is a traditional Irish song. And I've got with me playing on it a couple of guitarists, my good friends Ray Frank and Jimmy Murphy, and John Weed on fiddle, and Krista Birch on baron. And we're doing a song about a woman who is coming home late one evening after a day at church and an afternoon evening in the pub. And she remembers what's been said to her about the way home that's safest. So the Bearna, or sort of a dangerous mountain pass, the rocky mountain pass, is the way home. And the song tells of all the things that she would encounter if she went the more standard way or the more obvious way. So, Home by Bearna.
All right, here's Amelia Hogan.
In Scarta Glen there lived a lass, and every Sunday after Mass she would go and take a glass before going home to Bearna. We won't go home along the road for fear that you might act the rogue. Won't go home along the road, but we'll go home to Bearna. We won't go home along the shore for fear we hear the banshee roar. Won't go home along the shore, but we'll go home to Bearna. We won't go home around the glen for fear that she might rise again. Won't go home around the glen, but we'll down the milk pouring, the night is bright, we might be seen. Won't go down the milk pouring, but we'll go home be Bearna. We won't go home across the bog for fear we might meet Kearney's dog. Won't go home across the bog, but we'll go home be Bearna. We won't go home along the main, the swallow will catch us in the rain. Won't go home along the main, but we'll go home be Bearna. We won't go home along the strand, we might disturb the ferry band. Won't go home along the strand, but we'll go home be Bearna. We won't go home across the fields, the big thorns could stare at our heels. Won't go home across the fields, but we'll go home be Bearna. In Scarta there lived a lass, and every Sunday after Mass she would go and take a glass before going home be Bearna.
All right, you have a brand new album. It is called Burnished, and you funded it on Kickstarter, didn't you?
I did. I'm so lucky to have such a lovely community of people who adore the music and love to support other artists. So super grateful.
And tell me about the album.
It's an album on songs of place. One of my trips last year to Ireland, I wandered into pubs that didn't have sessions or singers or other things. And I was traveling with a mad Dutchman, my friend Sim Oak, and he was starting up sessions by talking to the locals, and they all had songs of where they are and where they were from. And they asked about, do you know any songs from Cavan? Do you know any songs from Gorey or Wexford? And what are the Dublin songs? What's the style in Dublin? What's the stuff up in Inishawen and Ballyliffin? And I thought, that's what's missing for Californians and Americans, is loving and feeling deeply rooted and connected to a landscape, to a place, and how we are shaped by land, and what is human relationship with their place.
So are these songs from the places that you've been, or is it from songs of place that you've found over the years?
Places I have been and loved and had a relationship with in one way or another, or a way of thinking about place that I have felt.
Mm-hmm.
I think my music tends to be deeply personal, and in order to be true about singing the songs, I have to know the places. I have to be familiar with the landscapes, the smells, the rocks, the way the light hits things, the deeper folkloric stories underpinning each of them. That intrigues me about it.
Yeah. One of the things I've always, I was a cultural geographer, so my love of music and the land is a big one. So,
actually, also, he taught
what's that?
Riverside. My grandfather taught at UC Riverside.
Oh, did he? Nice.
He was the dean of the geography department for like 40 something years.
Oh my God. I happened into it. It was sort of an accident, but it turned out that now I'm using my degree because I travel as a musician and I play music in places, but I haven't done an album of place, and now I'm feeling a little inspired because I like the idea, because cool. It is wonderful. One of my favorite podcasts is a Folk on Foot, and it's a podcast all about music and place. And so musicians go to different places and they share the songs from that particular place, and it's just incredible. It's incredible to hear those songs and those stories. Now, this album in particular, tell me about some of the songs that inspired you to, and the places that they were inspired by.
Like, for example, Bay of Fundy, which I visited this year and had the the opportunity to visit the Eastern Maritimes.
Where's Bay of Fundy?
Bay of Fundy is up in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Maine. It's this bay that meets at the mouth of the St. John River, where the tidal pull difference between high and low tide is 50 feet.
Wow.
It's slightly more than 50 feet between high and low tide. And so ships have to time their entrance to or exit from the river, from the St. John River, very carefully. And it's sort of like this immense amount of water moving. And Gordon Bok sings this song about how one could feel or be trapped there as a fisherman and have that weight pulling you back in the undertow over and over. And I thought that was really interesting about it. There's another song called, actually, back to our other story, there's a song called Dh'eirich mich Moch Madainn Cheitein, which is a beautiful thing, I think, about remembering the language through the singing of the songs.
What does that song, what does the title mean?
Dh'eirich mich Moch Madainn Cheitein is a wool walking song, and it's like one morning as I was walking. And so they pound the fibers of the wool, and I had to talk to a friend of mine that does these wool walking demonstrations in the borders of Scotland, a woman named Kathy Hobkirk. And she was talking about how the rhythm of the songs sort of keep the work going, they're work songs, but they're also a way to remember the culture through the language in the form of song. And that's a way of, I think, tying it all back into place and being rooted in your day and how you live and operate within your world.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's listen to that song. That is another one from Burnished, and I'm going to let you pronounce it and introduce the song because I have not worked up on my Scottish yet.
Sure. It's in Scots Gaelic. I sing it in Gaelic with my friend Krista Birch, Jimmy Murphy, again, on actually mandolin, and Richard Mandel on guitar, with Skylar Blakesley on whistle, Maureen Brennan on harp. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's
very cool.
Dh'eirich mich Moch Madainn Cheitein. And I hope I got the Scottish right. I was working with friends who speak Scots Gaelic, and they tried to help coach me a little bit on this, so I don't speak Gaelic normally. Dh'eirich mich Moch Madainn Cheitein.
Here's Amelia Hogan.
fair and Falilo in you below. You the most know away the Falilo in you below. Lash na gals kakach and chit Falilo in you below. You the most know away the Falilo in you below. You the most know away the Falilo in you below. You the most know away the Falilo in you below.
So, you don't speak Scots Gaelic? Do you speak Irish as well?
I am not fluent. I would say that I've heard it as a kid, and I'm a Californian, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it comes after not living in it all the time. But my ear has a good sense of it, in part because I heard it as a kid from friends and family, from native speakers of Irish. So my pronunciation, I'm told, sounds a little bit like Donegal style, Northern style, Ulster style, and Munster style a little bit, because some of the singers were from Clare. I grew up with my dad's best friend, Pat Derkis, grew up in Clohessy in County Clare near Ennis. And so I heard a little bit of Irish as a kid.
Yeah.
And so my pronunciation is from that ear with it. So I have a few words.
Yeah, but you can sing.
I can sing a little bit in Irish based on songs I've been given over the years. Like my grandmother sang a few kids' songs, and she had a creaky, croaky, crunchy old voice, but she sang it when I was like a baby. And then she mostly didn't speak Irish because she was kind of embarrassed by the fact that she was from a border town in Donegal where the border moved around her. And so Northern Irish, Donegal, I don't really know how that quite works. But so I heard Irish as a little kid.
It's interesting looking at the history of Irish in America too, because I know my grandmother apparently did not really claim her Irish heritage, because for a long time Irish were looked down upon, and yet her dad or her granddad was an O'Rear or something. So it's fascinating. But we have all this incredible history and so it's good to see that some of the music is and the language is being kept alive by lots of people, even more so these days. So that's fantastic. Let's get started with some rapid fire questions. First, I'd like you to name an album or two that have inspired you when you were growing up and that have inspired your music now.
I would say, I love listening to Sandy Denny. I love listening to Gene Redpath. I love listening to Gene Ritchie, American side of the pond. Yeah. I love listening to, inside baseball here. I grew up in the San Francisco Folk Music Club. That's the club my mom would bring me to. In the house were people like Pete Seeger who would come to visit. So that's not just on records, that's in the living room.
Right.
For me, a lot of the big names like Tom Paxton and a lot of other folk artists, Doc Watson and Utah Phillips, those were household names and Archie Fisher, like the people I played with know them and hung out with them. And
so for you, it was more the actual artists as opposed to the specific albums? Yeah,
that's what's the hardest thing. It's like, when people ask me, like, what's your favorite album? I'm like, recordings?
Are there any new art albums that you have come across that you've been inspired by?
I have loved Ye Vagabond's 9 Waves. I think that one's been one that's really grabbed me. There's a lot of folklore in there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of oblique reference to the history in Ireland and the waves of immigrants that shaped it and populated the island. And I love that. I love everything about that. I think Lumiere with Pauline Scanlon and Eilish Kennedy, a number of albums I really love. I would say Red Color Sun by Pauline Scanlon, really lovely, really good.
How about new artists? Are there any artists that you've been hearing up and coming that you like? Wow, they blow me away. Who is this band?
I don't know if they're that new. I think my favorite people are the old ones, but I like, what are they? I kickstarted into their project a little bit, and they're out of the north of England, and they do really funky textures in their music, which is very exciting to me. I'm like, art, like soundscapes of art. Let's see if I can remember or find it or something. What are they called? Polygon Wrong. That's their name. Love what they've done.
Polygon Wrong. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that they're especially Celtic flavored, but I feel like they're really good.
Sometimes the music, whatever the music is, you find and you like, it touches you and moves you.
Absolutely. I love, you'll love this. There's an album called Fandango Bra, which is Irish and mariachi.
Oh, fun.
It is super cool. I have it'll break your brain a little bit, but it is so rad.
I will check that out. That's very cool.
By my friend Catherine John. And that actually launched before the pandemic, and she gave me a copy at a show we were at or an event or something. I think we were at something at the Irish Cultural Center and saw each other, and she's like, "Here, you can have one." And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing." And then I popped it in, and I couldn't take it out of the player. It was so much fun.
That's very awesome. All right. So, how about places? Have you've been to Ireland or Scotland or?
Yeah.
What are any favorite places that people should go check out and go visit, and why?
Okay. This is going to sound really funny. In County Kerry, there's a place called Sneem, and there's a whole bunch of little villages all along the Ring of Kerry, where there was an ordinance that was, and this is what the bus tour driver told me a long time ago, and I still think it's one of the best stories ever.
The bus drivers in Ireland are some of the best storytellers ever. Just period.
So they painted each building where people were staying for the golf tournaments a different color, so that when people would wander back to their apartments or lodgings late at night or after a night out drinking, they wouldn't wander into someone else's house. And so each house in the town was painted a different color.
That's awesome.
Right? And I don't know, it's probably apocryphal. But they did away with the ordinance in the 80s. And I just think that's the most charming problem solving ever. Murphy's Ice Cream also has a shop in Dublin, I think kind of near Temple Bar. I visited there just a few years ago. Murphy's Ice Cream there, and I think they have a spot in Galway also.
Very cool. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share about the album, about your background, anything we missed that you would love to share?
I wrote a song when I went looking around for what was a really good love song to California, where I'm from. And I didn't see anything that shared my experience of the place, of the light quality being golden and warm and just be where you are. So my advice is, and that's rolling in the gold. So my advice to any listeners is find what you love deeply and make art about it. Find where you love deeply and examine your relationship with where you are.
Which brings me to before we go into that song, which I love, is that you are also an artist. I did see on your website, and you have a whole bunch of art up there. Is that part of your persona as far as being a musician and an artist?
I don't know if sorry, I'm just going to stumble over my words a little bit here.
That's okay.
I don't know that I characterize a persona. I think I'm just myself. And from the time I was a little kid, there were two things I've always done. And one is to be gravitated toward color. Yeah. As a baby crawling on the floor, my first memory, and my dad told me I was about 10 months old, there was his mom's little wooden refrigerator magnets with this insanely vibrant, bright, primary colored ladybugs, red and yellow. It was like my very first memory was loving the richness of the color. So I don't know that you could separate me from art and music, visual and sound.
Very cool. Well, you have a song inspired by California. It's called Rolling in the Gold, and that is what we're going to finish up this interview with. So thank you so much for joining me, Amelia, And I look forward to sharing more of your music on the podcast in the days to come.
You were listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. I'm Amelia Hogan, and I look forward to hearing more amazing artists in the days and months to come. I love listening to the program, so shout out to Mark here for doing a beautiful job with his own albums and the podcast itself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amelia. You have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Here is Amelia Hogan, Rolling in the Gold. Sláinte.
Rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold of California. Rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold of California. And there's fool's gold in rivers and sunlight through summer, or deep in that sunset through mists on the coast. And they come from all over and hope that they'll get rich when searching in mine shafts or sifted through stream beds, rolling o'er the gold, rolling o'er the gold. They were rolling o'er the gold of California, rolling o'er the gold, rolling o'er the gold. They were rolling o'er the gold of California. But the hue of light that shines out o'er cool plains of ochre, it smells of the brightness of oaks on the hill. And when traveling way out west, saying gold's for the taking, what they haven't figured yet is that there's plenty for all. Rolling through the gold, rolling through the gold, rolling through the gold of California, rolling through the gold, rolling through the gold, rolling through the gold in California. It's the air we are breathing and the warmth on our shoulders. It's wind we can't capture, feeling gold in our bones. In autumn when winds change, the monarchs come homeward and seabirds are resting. They're feathered in gold. They're rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold. They're rolling in the gold of California. They're rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold. They're rolling in the gold of California. If I could impart one thing, my love, there's one thing to you I'd bring. It's that there's gold in these hills we're in, my love, and not held in a cold metal thing. Made up of sunburn and scented tall giants, it's burnished wildflowers in niche gilded beam, and a tidal pool sparkle and salt waves I cherish. You'll have gold aplenty and friends who will sing with you, rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold of California. They're rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold, rolling in the gold of California.
Thank you, patrons of the podcast. You make the music happen. I'm in awe of your generosity. You're the heartbeat of the podcast. The reason I bring you fresh Celtic tunes every week. Your kindness fuels everything. It covers our brilliant engineer, our talented designer, and the Celtic Music Magazine editor. It spreads this music far and wide. It even lets me buy the music you love and gives me the time to craft each episode just for you. As a patron, you're more than a supporter. You're part of the show. You get exclusive ad-free episodes, free downloads, and the power to shape the Celtic Top 20. All this for as little as $4 a month. Less than a pint of Guinness, yet enough to keep the music alive and thriving. Join us today. Let's make this music last forever. A special thanks to our Celtic legends Rick Boyce, Bruce, Daniel Ide, Brian McReynolds, Marty Myers, Alan Schindler, Margreta Silverstone, Emma Bartholomew, Dan McDade, Gerald F. Boyle, Miranda Nelson, Nancy Barnett, Kevin Long, Gary R. Hook, Linda McNeil, John Sharkey White II, Kelly Garrett, Mike Schock, Annie Lorkowski, and Sean Kelly. Here is your 3-step plan to support the podcast. Number 1, go to our Patreon page. Number 2, decide how much you want to pledge every month. It could be as little as $4. It could be as much as $4,000. You know, whatever floats your boat. Number 3, keep listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast to celebrate Celtic culture through music. You can become a generous patron of the podcast on Patreon at songhinge.com. One of my bands, the Brobdingnagian Bards, just finished a new album. It is called Another Faire to Remember. It'll be out probably in the fall. Look for it at Gen Con and Dragon Con. But in the meantime, I'm sharing some of the music that's on the show, including this track. This one was written by my partner, Andrew McKee. It is The Irishman Who Doesn't Drink by the Brobdingnagian Bards.
Now listen all, it's hard to think of an Irishman who doesn't drink. And if you thought you'd found one, you'd surely wonder why. The drink is good, the drink is bad, but drink won't tell you what you've had. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I. Now me father drink, his father drink, whose father drink for his father's sake. Me family tree could surely tap in his factory for sure. Now me uncle was a handsome lad, he's married more than 5 men had, but his ailment wasn't all that bad. For drink he's found the cure. Oh listen all, it's hard to think of an Irishman who doesn't drink. And if you thought you'd found one, you'd surely wonder why. The drink is good, the drink is bad, but drink won't tell you what you've had. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I. Now my sister who does love to read and loves to drink her favourite mead. To understate she's well studied and mead a doctorate in. Now my cousin lives near Tennessee. His favourite drink, of course, JD, but his lawyer could not well agree that it was his next of kin. Oh, listen all, it's hard to think of an Irishman who doesn't drink. And if you thought you'd found one, you'd surely wonder why. The drink is good, the drink is bad, but drink won't tell you what you've had. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I. When grandmother was very young, she'd play at her granddad's for fun, but riding all the day among the horses she'd tell. Now her granddad used to gamble drunk, he beat a carney's boat that sunk, and won some holdings not all junk, cause he kept the carousel. Oh listen all, it's hard to think of an Irishman who doesn't drink. And if you thought you'd found one, you'd surely wonder why. The drink is good, the drink is bad, but drink won't tell you what you've had. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I. I do not drink, I do not smoke, I don't cavort with women folk. Okay, well, maybe just a little. I've a liberal view of sin. Now women are my vice, 'tis true. I like to see them through and through. And when I see no more to do, well, with drinking I'll begin. Oh, listen all, it's hard to think of an Irishman who doesn't drink. And if you thought you'd found one, you'd surely wonder why. The drink is good, the drink is bad, but drink won't tell you what you've had. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I. So look at me and I'll be sad for that Irishman, 'tis I.
summer's morning, when all the flowers were springing on, nature was dawning, and the wee birds sweetly singing on. I met my love near Bunbridge town, my charming blue-eyed Sally, oh. She's the queen of the county down, the flower of Mare, oh. With admiration I did gaze upon this blue-eyed maiden, oh. Adam wasn't half so much pleased when he met Eve in Eden, oh. Her skin was like the lily white that grows in yonder valley, oh. She's my queen and my heart's delight, the flower of Mare, oh. Her yellow hair and ringlets clung, her shoes were Spanish leather, oh. Bonnet with the ribbon strung, her scarlet cap and feather, oh. Like Venus bright she did appear, my charming blue-eyed Sally, oh. She's the girl that I love dear, the flower of Mare, oh. I hope the day will surely come when we'll join hands together, oh. It's then I'll bring my darling home, in spite of wind or weather, oh. And let them all say what they will, and let them reel and rally, oh. For I shall wed the girl I love, the flower of Mare, oh.
After Brobdingnagian Bards came Joseph Carmichael with First of Spring from a single, then the Lilies of the Midwest with The Flower of Mare from Cat's Cayley, and we finished up the set with Woodford Nights by Austral from Thylacine. Woo! I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please go vote for your favorite tracks. This is part of the Celtic Top 20. You can vote for as many songs and tunes that inspire you in each episode and help me create next year's best Celtic music episode of 2025. You'll find a link to all that in the show notes. In the meantime, we're going to finish up with one final track. This is Hounds of Flynn. It is from their album, Gravity Pools. This track is called My Father's Coat. Thank you so much for listening. Back again next week. Sláinte.
Tugging his sleeve, swept him away. And though you would come back to see me at times, it'd be a long, long, long time till you would stay. At the door, and there'd be a stranger, face so familiar, and a smile that I'd know. Leather arms he'd engulf me, and I'd hope and pray that this would be the time that he would stay. Is past from many long years, living laughter and love. And at least once a year I'd ask him if he'd give me that coat. Each time with love in his eyes, he'd answer me no. Uncharted lands, with tears in our hearts, he suddenly left me alone. When he reappeared, he he held that coat in his hand. When the cold winds blow, middle of the night, you button up the front and you pull this collar tight. You wrap your arms around when you're feeling blue. Just as you think of me, you will know that I always thought of you. That I always thought of you. I always thought of you.
The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast is produced by Mark Gunn, the Celt Father, and our patrons on Patreon. The show is edited by Mitchell Peterson with graphics by Miranda Nelson Designs. Visit our website to follow the show. You'll find a link to all the artists played in this episode. Todd Wiley is the editor of the Celtic Music Magazine. Subscribe to get 34 Celtic MP3s for free. Plus, you'll get 7 weekly news items about what's happening with Celtic music and culture online. Best of all, you will connect with your Celtic heritage. Please tell one friend about this podcast. Word of mouth is the absolute best way to support any creative endeavor. Finally, remember, climate change is real. We can fix it. Cutting waste, saving energy, and pushing for clean power all make a difference. A cleaner, safer world benefits everyone. Talk to someone today. Our children are counting on you. Promote Celtic culture through music at CelticMusicPodcast.com.